All right, so like I had said, both of these come from 22.1a and 22.1b. I'll put problems up here in just a second, and these I would put down the original. Also put down the word solve. Each one of them really are just solving equations. When you do these quizzes, you'll notice that each problem sometimes has up to 4 different boxes, up to 4 different answers. And I want to walk through why there's so many different boxes that you have to fill in. So with the first problem, and actually I should refer to the directions for this. It says solve the equation, give the answer in radical form, if applicable, and then use a calculator to approximate the solution to 2 decimal places, if necessary. All right, so we're going to jump to the first problem. It says here 5x squared minus 21 equals 39. What we're going to do is we're going to solve this, meaning that we are going to get x all by itself. These ones require use of the graphing, not a graphing calculator, the use of a scientific calculator, one where you can put in the square root. So I'm going to solve this one as much as I can. I'm going to first add 21 to both sides. So then I end up with 5x squared equals, well, 39 plus 21, that's 60 in this case. Then I'll divide by 5. So we're looking ahead here. That's dividing by 5 to get 12. You'll get that in a second. Divide by 5, we get x squared equals 12. And like I said, there's 4 different boxes for this type of problem. There's actually 4. Okay? And this is the way we set this up. To solve this a little bit further, I don't want to get what x squared equals. I want to get what x equals. So I'm going to take the square root of both sides. When you do that to an equation, you have to consider 2 different situations. One where you have the positive square root of 12 and one where you have the negative square root of 12. Okay? And the way that they write that is like this. Looks kind of confusing because you think, okay, well, there's a new operation being done here. But no, really all it is that there's 2 answers. One where it's a positive plus sign, square root of 12, and one where there is a negative square root of 12. Which is why there's 2 different boxes up at the top of a problem that looks like this. So then you write down square root 12, or x equals square root 12, and then x equals negative square root 12. These are the exact answers. These are the exact answers. Okay. Then you go to your scientific calculator and you plug in the square roots. Many of you, I think, may not remember how to plug in square roots, so I want to go through that with you real quick. So the square root of 12 and how you plug that in. Something like this, okay? So square root of 12 would be, you press the second button, and then the x squared button down at the bottom next to the 7, up pops up the square root of 12, or the square root. Then you plug in 12 here. You could close the parenthesis, you get 3.46. Okay, so this is the approximate answer, or one of the approximate answers. Again, there's 4 different things that they have you put down in just the first problem. So then x equals, what was it again, 3.46? 3.46, yeah. So x equals 3.46 and x equals negative 3.46. Each one of these is a box just for that first problem. It's not that it's hard, it's just that you have to recognize that the top ones are exact answers and the bottom ones are approximate. And then, of course, using your scientific calculator to evaluate it. There are situations, please make sure you listen, this is really, 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 really important. There are situations where something like the square root of 12 can be simplified to something like 2 square root 3. That's true. You can simplify the square root of 12 to 2 times the square root of 3. Both of these would give you 3.46. We did not go over simplifying radicals. We skipped it. Okay? It's one of those things that you'll learn about in Algebra 2, but it's not important for you to know for Algebra 1. But there are times when the quiz might mark something wrong when it shouldn't have. When that happens, I'm going to say, show me what the original problem was and what your answer is, and then I'll give you credit. So it's really important that you, on a separate sheet of paper, when you're doing these quizzes, that you write down your work and write down the original problem. Do you hear me? Okay? I want to make sure that you do that for 22.1a and 22.1b specifically. All right, next one. This one won't take long. Let me erase this. Solving this one. Subtract 5 would be the first step. So that's negative 2x squared equals negative 8. Yes, question? Yes. Divide by negative 2, and you get x squared equals 4. Again, I'm trying to get what x equals. So then you put down x equals plus or minus, right? 2 different situations. The square root of 4. Now, hold on a second. Can you take the square root of 4? In other words, is there a number that if you multiply by itself, you get 4? 2. So this is a situation where only 2 boxes are going to show up. In 22.1a, there's some situations where only 2 boxes are going to show up. And the reason why is because you don't get approximate answers like the last one. You get exact ones when you take the square root. So then there are 2 boxes, 2 answers. One where you say x equals 2, and the other where you say x equals negative 2. Good? That's how you would do 22.1a specifically. And there's a reason why I put 22.1a and 22.1b both becoming a 0 today, because they're both really similar. The next one. This one, notice that we have something inside of what we're squaring. We can't automatically go to adding 12 to both sides. We first need to take the square root. Okay, so I'm going to take the square root of both sides here, and anytime that I do that, remember the plus or minus. So I'm going to put down x minus 12, because the square root and the square will cancel each other out, equals plus or minus the square root of 54. Again, they might want you to simplify the square root of 54. I would mark it correct so far. There are 2 different situations that you have here. One with the positive square root of 54, one with the negative square root of 54. So this is what you do. Once you get to this spot right here, it's best to separate it to 2 different problems. One where you have x minus 12 equals square root 54, and one where you have x minus 12 equals negative square root 54. 2 different situations, one with the positive, one with the negative. Last step on each of these is to move the 12 to the other side. So I'm going to add 12. It doesn't matter where I put that. X equals the square root of 54 plus 12. This one, add 12. X equals negative square root of 54 plus 12. Both of these are considered the answer. Now, be very careful how you plug this in.
May I borrow Alex for a minute?
Alex?
Yes. I'm going to borrow him without the
This one right here. Hey, listen. It says square root of 54, then the plus 12. I've had a lot of people that have done this quiz so far that have said, oh, it's a square root of 54 plus 12. They extend this radical too far. Don't extend the radical all the way across. It's only the square root of 54, and then plus 12. So the radical stops after the 54. Then put the plus 12. If you need help putting that in, let me know. Yeah, question.
Wait, so where did the square part go?
The square part?
Yeah.
So it's canceled out with the square root.
Oh,
Kind of like when we had the x squared here, and then no longer x squared, right? The square root and the square will cancel. Next one. Next problem. Last one. Many of you could get both of these quizzes done today. First step, notice that the 15 is on the inside, so the first step is not going to be to move the 15. I can't do it yet. I first need to take the square root. Notice I'll put down x plus 15 equals, that's because the square root and square cancel, plus or minus the square root of 81. This is a special situation. Can you take the square root of 81 and get something nice? Yeah. Before I had the square root of 54. Can't do that one. At least not nice. Square root of 81 is 9. So again, let's simplify this a little bit. This means x plus 15 equals plus or minus 9. Notice, once I take the square root, I don't keep it anymore. I've had some people tend to put another square root attached to the 9. No. Once you do it one time, once you do that operation, there's no more square root involved anymore. But we do have two separate situations. One where you have x plus 15 equals positive 9. X plus 15 equals negative 9. And then you solve it. Solve it much like you've done a lot of the problems before. The opposite of adding 15, subtracting 15. So x equals negative 6. The opposite of adding 15 here, subtracting 15. X equals negative 24. These two would be the two boxes that you need. Yes, question.
The answer to the last one was x equals oh, yeah.
Alright, so that's it. That's 22.1a and 22.1b in a nutshell. I can't emphasize this enough. Do your work on a separate sheet so that when you say, Mr. Saldani, I didn't change my score, you can say, oh, well, here's what I have it all on a separate sheet, so can you check it here? Alright? Good.